My power rankings that we post every Tuesday right around lunchtime. And, Chris, there's a new sheriff in town.
Uh-oh.
The 49ers held the top spot for all of 1 week. But when you lose, you can't remain number one. Sorry, 49ers, you got to slide down the list. Number one this week, moving up 2 spots after not giving in to the temptation to potentially be down, to overlook an opponent. They had no letdown against the Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens destroyed Cincinnati, and they're now number one, followed by the Seahawks at number 2, who bump up 3 spots after winning against the 49ers in Santa Clara. The Patriots move up a spot without playing. The 49ers fall to number 4. Saints at 5. Packers pick up a spot to number 6. The Vikings jump back into the top 10 after somehow beating the Cowboys at night. The Texans are number 8, up number 1 spot, up 1 spot from number 9. Chiefs are down 1 to number 9, and the Bills barely holding on to their spot in the top 10 at number 10, dropping 4 spots after losing to Cleveland. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. You've been waiting. You've been waiting a whole day to rip me.
I'm okay with number 1. I hear you there. That's not my first issue, so I'm all for that. Now, where I will go is I think the Patriots should be in front of the Seahawks. I think you're being a little recent bias there. I think you are. The Patriots lost on the road, Monday Night Football, got in a hole. We're driving to make the game very, very interesting, and Julian Edelman fumbled to where I think I would still give them the edge over the Seahawks to be the number 2 team there. That would be my first discrepancy. Was there any thought of that from you?
There was some thought of it. Yeah, I hated to move the Patriots all the way from 4 to 2 without playing. That's what I hated to do.
Okay.
And you know what? You know what? If the Patriots beat the Eagles in impressive fashion on Sunday, maybe the Patriots jump to 2 and the Seahawks fall to 3, even though the Seahawks aren't playing this weekend. The Patriots have an opportunity to get to number 2. Heck, they have an opportunity to get to number 1, because if they win and the Ravens lose to the Texans, I could jump the Patriots right over the Seahawks and put them back at number 1.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. That's good. That's good to hear, certainly, because I look at the Patriots' 1 loss on the road, Sunday Night Football, to a team that was off their bye week, juiced up, ready to go, and I still want to say, hey, the Seahawks, they lost 2 home games this year. That's the only thing. But either way, Monday night they were phenomenal. So I can understand your logic totally there. The other one, as we get down into the top 10, I am a little surprised with you and the Bills. The Bills would be a team, as much as I'm a fan of Josh Allen. I still think he's got great potential there. Defense hasn't looked as good lately. I might have put the Steelers and Eagles in front of the Bills. I might have put both of them in front of the Bills and knocked them down. Because you've said it a lot. They really haven't beat anybody this year, and I know that's not their job. They just have to play the teams on their schedule. But when they've had to play a team that has some talent and somewhat of a threat to lose, they seem to lose that game. So I'm just don't think the Bills are as good as the Steelers or Eagles. And let's not forget, the Eagles went up to Buffalo and beat them 31-13.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The Bills have 6 wins in 9 games, and I don't care about the quality of the opponent. If you win 6 out of your first 9, you're 6-3. That's the line of demarcation. There's nobody with 6 wins below number 10 and nobody with 5 wins or fewer above number 10. I think having those 6 wins in 9 games means something. Whether or not they hold number 10, we'll see. They're trending down. I already dropped them 4 spots.
Yep.
The opportunity is there for these other teams to jump the Bills, but every team below them, really, the next 8 all have 5 wins.
I get you. I hear you.
And it just shows you how clustered up the middle is. Let's move on to the next 10 then. The Steelers are 11 at 5-4. They moved up 4 spots after beating the Rams. The Eagles bumped up a spot, even though they didn't play, from 13 to 12. The Raiders moved up 4 to number 13. The Cowboys down 3 to number 14. Rams down 5 to 15. Titans up 5 to 16 after knocking off the Chiefs. Panthers down 3 to 17. Colts drop 2 to number 18. Jaguars hold steady at 19. Bears bump up 3 spots to number 20. And again, the first 8 teams in the second 10 all have 5 wins. The Jaguars have 4 and the Bears have 4. So, there's a middle class of teams, Chris, where one of those teams is going to find the gas pedal and mash it.
Yes.
Right? Statistically, one of them is going to do it and thrust themselves into the upper reaches of the NFL after Thanksgiving and into December. And maybe of all those teams, I'd say the most likely to do it is the Steelers or the Eagles.
Okay, yeah. And I'm still not going to throw the Raiders out of that conversation because they've seemed to have found kind of the gas pedal already to where you're going, okay, it's not pretty, but they have some formula and they can dominate the line of scrimmage in the run game. And, they're tough and they do some things that you like to where they would be one of those teams I'd put in the conversation too. I do think I'd put the Eagles in front of the Steelers. That's the one thing I look at there. The Eagles with being healthy, and I'm with you, Mike. I mean, if I have to pick one team out of all of them, I'm probably going to go with the Eagles to find the gas pedal because why? I mean, they've proven 2 years in a row that they can take their foot off the gas and reapply and be a quality football team, let alone, like I said, they've gotten healthy here the last few weeks. Fletcher Cox is back to being Fletcher Cox, a guy who was dealing with a foot injury and everything during training camp. I really think it affected him early in the year to where he was good, but he wasn't being the mess the play up, F the play up type of guy, game wrecker. And what I've seen on film from him the 2 games prior to the bye week was, watch out. Fletcher Cox is back, and he's throwing people all over the place again. So I'm with you with the Eagles there. But, after you get into that, it's just like, gosh, the teams are so many question marks about so many of them. It's unbelievable. I would have probably put the 17 Panthers over the Rams and Titans right now. I do think they're playing better football. They actually, in my opinion, outplayed Green Bay last week in Green Bay. They just kind of messed up the game and just with fumble snap at the 50-yard line that gave Green Bay a short field. They scored a touchdown. Of course, they were going in to score. Kyle Allen threw an interception there and then had the goal line stand on the last play of the game to where they can go in and maybe have an opportunity to tie the game. I probably would have the Panthers a few places up, but I get it. The Rams are the one where I just go, I don't know. I mean, I know they're 5-4, but it doesn't look good. Their defense is going to have to save the day.
No. And last week you praised me for putting them at number 10.
Yeah.
For trusting that the arrow was pointing up.
Yeah.
And of course you thought the Rams. Were going to win.
I know.
Last week.
I
can't wait to do the Mega Picks joint podcast tomorrow. I've been counting the minutes for our chance to revisit our performance from last week.
Thank you. Yes, I know you've been counting the minutes because you've only posted the 5 picks we disagreed on social media, 12 times, 20 times with your little green check marks?
Well, I have to update with the results.
Every
time a game ends, you have to update with the results. You got the check marks. Oh, wait, I got the check marks.
Yeah, you got the check marks. Well, what's amazing let me say one thing about the Eagles.
Yeah. And the difference between the Eagles and the Steelers.
Okay.
When we talk about putting the foot on the gas, the Eagles have a lot better opportunity in front of them because they're tied with the Cowboys. The Steelers are 2 games back in the loss column against the Ravens. They've got work to do. Now, remember this. Browns are the next 3 games for the Steelers. If the Steelers win those 3 games, and that's not a gimme by any stretch, especially with the Browns playing better. If they win those 3 games, though, all the Steelers have to do is be within 1 game of the Ravens going into Week 17. That makes Week 17 an AFC North championship game. And I was talking about this earlier on the radio side, Chris. We could have at least 2, maybe more, division championship games Week 17. It could be 49ers-Seahawks in the NFC West, Ravens-Steelers in the AFC North.
Yep.
And when you look at the configuration of the AFC South, those teams play each other Week 17. One of those 2 games could be for the division championship, or maybe both, how they interact, because those teams are so tightly packed. But there could be a lot to still be determined. In recent years, a lot of the playoff spots are already determined by Week 17, and the division championships are known by then. We could have a very crazy and hectic day, Week 17, trying to figure out these spots. And for some of them, it could be the difference, like we said yesterday, between the 1 seed and the 5 seed or the 6 seed if you win or lose that game.
Yeah, definitely. And unlike in the AFC, unlike the NFC, like the Eagles-Cowboys, where they're at, it's looking like they're going to have to win the division. They're not going to get in as the 5 or 6 seed in the wild card. The Steelers, like you said, they win the next 3 games. The big thing is I don't think there's a chance they don't have to win their division. They still might be the 5 or 6 seed with teams like Buffalo, who's, kind of showing some chinks in the armor, and the Oakland Raiders and the Colts and all those teams who, we have question marks about all of them, really. So it's not one of those with the Steelers where like they have to win the division to get in the playoffs. I think there's still a very real chance they can end up being a 5 or 6 seed, even if Baltimore does continue to dominate and win the AFC North.
All right, let's check the box with a quick review of the final 12 teams in the power rankings this week. The Chargers are at 21, down 3. Broncos hold steady at 22. Browns up 3-23. Lions drop 4-24. The Bucks, even though they won, they don't move up, they don't move down. They're at 25. The Cardinals drop 2-26 after losing at Tampa Bay. Falcons up 2-27. Dolphins hold steady at 28. I know they won, but I don't know where you put them. You can't shoot them up the 20s. They're 2-7. Jets are 29 at 2-7. Giants fall to 30. Washington still at 31. And the Bengals a distant 32, the only winless team still in the NFL. And we're really getting closer to the point where we have to ask ourselves, will the Bengals win a game this year? You know, 2 other teams have gone 0-16, so it doesn't have that same panic that it has had in the past. But, hey, the state of Ohio may be able to claim a pair of 0-16 teams just in the past few years.
It looks scary, and it looks crappy, and that's the only way I can say, yeah, they're in trouble of flirting with 0-16. I think there's a very real possibility there. And the Dolphins, somebody's got to tell them they're supposed to be tanking. They're supposed to be tanking. That group is crazy down there. They're not going to tank. You know, Brian Flores, all them. I mean, hey, again, you got to remember, like 4 years from now, if he's fired, nobody's going to go, well, he was deliberately losing games in the first year of his contract to tank. Nobody's going to give them the credit of that. They're going to win games because it goes on your gravestone at the end of the day. And I just give the Dolphins credit for fighting and continuing to fight. You know, the last 4 games, they played some decent football.
But once you know it's done, there really is an incentive to go ahead and let nature take its course and be as bad as you can be if you know you're going to be back next year, because it enhances your opportunity to get the best possible picks. And I think that's what the Bengals are in right now. They didn't start the season with the intention of going into free fall mode, but now that they are, they're just embracing it. Ryan Finley at quarterback. They'll probably, they're not rushing A.J. Green back. Let's go ahead and be as bad as we can be, because that's going to set us up to get that first overall pick in the draft.
Bengals got to rebrand. They got to rebrand. Change the uniforms, change the helmet, change everything. It's just a bad stigma around it. Rebrand, Bengals. Go back to the drawing board. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything. Change the name, too?
Well, no, they can be the Bengals. I mean, there's no Bengals in the state of Ohio, so I don't really love the name, so I wouldn't be mad of it. But, I mean, yeah, I think they need to just redo it all. I do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.